I have been with my now ex-boyfriend Eric for 2 years. Overall, we've had a good relationship, nothing crazy, until last night when things completely fell apart. We were out at a bar with some of his friends, just having a normal night. Drinks, food, the usual. Eric and his friend Mark were joking around, and Eric made a comment about how much Mark was eating. Something like, "Careful, Mark, you'll eat the whole damn bar." It seemed harmless at first, just typical guy humor. But then Mark looked right at me and said, "If only she knew." It was one of those moments where you instantly feel uncomfortable, like there's something going on behind your back. I had no idea what Mark was talking about, and the whole vibe at the table shifted. But before I could even react, Eric exploded. He went off on Mark, screaming at him to shut the frick up, and even tried to get physical. His other friends had to hold him back. Mark didn't really react, which only made Eric angrier. The whole thing was awkward as hell, and we ended up leaving early. When we got back to my place, I couldn't stop thinking about that comment. So I asked Eric, what the hell did Mark mean by, "if only she knew"? What don't I know? And instead of just answering me like a normal person, Eric lost it again. He started yelling at me, telling me to drop it and stop being paranoid. He was dodging every question, getting more pissed every time I brought it up. I wasn't trying to pick a fight, I just wanted to know what was going on. It felt like there was something important being hidden from me, and I wasn't about to let it slide. But every time I asked, he'd just get more defensive and angry. Finally, he stormed out of my apartment. He doesn't live with me, so I locked the door and called it a night. I didn't hear from him until this morning, and when I did, it was just more angry texts telling me to drop it and leave him alone. At that point, I was done. I'm not going to sit around and be treated like I'm crazy for asking a simple question. I texted him back, saying we're done, I need space, and if he can't be honest with me, then I don't want any part of this relationship. End of story. Now here's where it gets worse. He's been going around to our mutual friends, telling them that I left him for no reason, and trying to make it seem like I'm the one who overreacted. Some of them have even reached out to me, saying I should have just let it go and that I'm blowing things out of proportion. I told them to mind their own business. I don't care what they think. None of them were in that moment. None of them saw how he acted, and none of them have to live with the pit in their stomach that I've had since that weird comment from Mark. I'm not about to stay in a relationship where I feel like something shady is going on behind my back. If Eric can't be straight with me after 2 years together, then what's the point? So, am I the jerk for leaving him over this? Now for some comments. One commenter said, I get the distinct feeling that this is not the first time you've gotten on him about possible infidelity. I replied, you're right. Sadly, a few months ago, he was staying out late when going out with friends. I asked him about it. He stopped going out with his friends because you want this. You don't want me to be happy. Another commenter said, that's wild. I'm sorry you're going through this. I'd ask Mark or his mother for details. I replied, Mark messaged me saying, sorry you have to deal with that before blocking me. I don't know how to contact him. The commenter continued, I'm guessing he said that in the restaurant in the first place because he wanted to warn you and your ex wouldn't tell you, but Mark's a coward. I replied, that's what I'm thinking as well. Another commenter said, NTA, but also I think the situation didn't ask for a neurosurgeon to figure out. Based on the comment, it seems pretty obvious that Eric used to, or may still have, be fat, and it obviously is a sensible point for him. Potentially he even was bullied by Mark for it, which is why he reacted so extremely angry and hot-headed on the matter. I think the context made it pretty clear that something along the lines was going on. That doesn't excuse him snapping at you, but you should get better at reading your partner's behavior, because I am a guy, and not the emotional type either. But unless you aren't the sharpest tool in the shed, these are the obvious first things that come to mind. I replied, thanks for your perspective. I get what you're saying about Eric possibly having a history with body image or being bullied, which might explain his reaction. But my point is that even if he has personal issues, it doesn't give him a free pass to lash out at me. I understand that men can have a tough time expressing their feelings, but relationships require open communication from both sides. I wasn't trying to poke at any insecurities. I genuinely wanted to know what was going on. When I asked him about Mark's comment, I expected a conversation, not an explosion of anger. It's not about being the sharpest tool in the shed, but rather about being in a relationship where both partners can talk openly without fear of being yelled at or dismissed. I've always tried to support him, and I want a partner who can communicate with me, especially when things get awkward. I appreciate your insight. Another commenter said, Aita, kinda seems like you just wanted a reason to leave. There must be something you're doing to make him act like that. If he's denying it, why don't you believe him? You're supposed to believe your partner over everything, and for your friends, you could have been nicer to them. They are just worried. Mark probably just wanted to get into your pants, and you probably would have let him judging off that you believed him over your own boyfriend. I replied, wow, your comment is a prime example of how utterly clueless you are about relationships. This isn't about me wanting a reason to leave. It's about having the guts to walk away from someone who can't even communicate like a grown-up. If you think I should just sit back and accept Eric's insane outbursts as normal, then it's clear you've never been in a healthy relationship. Seriously, Eric's reaction was a complete overreaction. If you expect me to interpret his rage as love, you must be living in some fantasy world. I'm not a mind reader, and I'm not going to tolerate his childish behavior just because it makes him feel better. And your pathetic defense of my friends? They actually care about me, unlike you, who seems more interested in playing the white knight for some dude's toxic behavior. If Mark had a crush on me, that's his issue, not mine. I'm not the one who lost their cool and threw a tantrum. That was all Eric. By the way, I looked at your post history, and it's painfully obvious you have a deep-seated hatred for women because you got cheated on. Maybe it's time for you to shut up since you clearly can't keep a woman around. You're just bitter and pathetic, and it shows. Before you come at me, do everyone a favor and take a long, hard look in the mirror. This isn't about me believing Mark over Eric. It's about refusing to let some dude's explosive temper dictate my worth. So why don't you crawl back to your sad little life and keep your toxic opinions to yourself? Now for the update. I feel like I'm living in some kind of twisted nightmare, and the more I try to make sense of it, the worse it gets. Mark called me today while I was at work. I didn't expect him to call me because he was ignoring me. I stepped outside to take the call, and he told me something that I never in a million years could have prepared for. He told me that Eric has been putting other men's semen into my food, drinks, skincare, shampoo, conditioner, and even my toothpaste. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. That's what Mark said. Eric has apparently been hooking up with random men, having them finish into cups, and then using it in my meals and drinks like it's some kind of sick joke. Even as I write this, I'm still in complete disbelief. Who does that to someone? Mark said he found out about this a week ago, but for some reason, it took him that long to tell me. A week. I've been living my life, completely oblivious, trusting Eric, someone I loved, while this was happening behind my back. I feel so betrayed, so disgusted, and so violated. When I asked Mark if he and Eric were having an affair, or if this was some sort of twisted thing between them, he swore they weren't, and he even made a gross comment about not wanting to touch Eric because who knows what diseases he has. That made my stomach turn. I'm getting tested for everything now because I don't know what's been in my body. When I got home, I went straight to the kitchen. Mark told me to check under the sink, and there they were, the cups, hidden behind the cleaning supplies. I lost my chute. I threw out everything in the kitchen and bathroom, even stuff I knew wasn't touched. I don't care. Everything feels contaminated now. My home doesn't feel like a safe space anymore. Every time I walk into the kitchen, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I can't even function without my mind going to dark places, thinking about all the times I had no idea what was happening. I don't have any solid proof of this. It's just Mark's word and those disgusting cups, and I feel so powerless. If nothing can be done about this, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. How is this even legal? How can someone get away with something so vile? I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust anyone again. This whole thing has been messing with my head in ways I can't even explain. I feel dirty. I feel like I've been violated on such a deep level, and there's nothing I can do to undo it. My mom wants me to check into a hospital just to make sure I'm okay mentally, and I'm honestly going to do it. I don't feel stable right now. I don't feel like myself. I'm scared I might hurt myself or someone else. Eric was eating the same food. He was eating the food that he had contaminated right alongside me. Was it a kink? A power trip? I don't even know anymore. All I know is that the man I thought I knew, the man I loved, is a complete stranger to me now. I can't believe I've been living with someone capable of something so vile. I feel like I'm losing my mind, and I don't know how I'm going to come back from this. How can he do this to me? I'm genuinely losing it. I'm a danger to myself. I won't be on. I'm going to check myself into the hospital. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "I'm so sorry this happened to you. You didn't deserve this. No one does. I hope you can get the help you need. You are stronger than you know." Another added, "I am so sorry this happened to you. You have to get the cups and everything out of the trash. Maybe your mom or a friend can do it, and you have to go to the police with it as evidence. And if you can, get Mike to write everything in text for you." Then another commenter said, "I was wondering when someone was going to say, 'Take the cups,' and what Mark told you directly to the police. You have been sexually attacked. That is the reality of this whole situation. Those cups need to be tested to see if they are actually semen. If so, charges need to be pressed." Finally, another person commented, "And not just the cups. The shampoos, toothpaste, all of it needs to go to the police station. He needs to be in jail if he was really putting stuff into your food, and honestly, he needs his butt beat too. Am I the idiot for cutting ties with a friend who turned into a creepy stalker? I am friends with this girl. Let's call her June. In fact, my husband and I often hang out with June and her boyfriend. We go on double dates, have weekend trips, etc. We've known each other for over 2 years. I would say that we four were pretty tight as a group up until this weekend. My husband is an orthodontist. One of his patients is June's half-sister, Raya. June often accompanies Raya to her dental appointments. June is also a small-time online influencer. She's always recording and vlogging and stuff. Though my husband and I have made it clear to her that we're absolutely not okay with our faces in her vlogs online, she seemed to respect that boundary. We don't use social media, apart from Reddit, and we trusted her word when she said she's not going to post us online. Cut to last weekend. My brother sent me this TikTok link with the message, "Dude, you gotta watch this." I opened the link, and it directed me to June's TikTok account. She doesn't have many followers, less than 10K, but the particular video he sent me had like 500,000 views or likes. I'm not sure which. Lo and behold, it was a video compilation of my husband with the title, "God, I see what you've done for others." The video was honestly the creepiest thing I've ever seen. She had recorded my husband during various of our double dates together, and it was clear he wasn't even aware he was being recorded. In some of the clips, she would start with her face and then pan the camera towards my husband with a cutesy expression and mouthing words like, "Oh my God." The worst one was where he was working on her half-sister, Raya, wearing scrubs, and she'd recorded even that. She didn't even bother to blur out the kid's face while she was lying on the dental chair. I showed the video to my husband, and he was horrified. He said it made him so uncomfortable and violated knowing that someone had been secretly recording him. He was angry that she'd recorded him working on a patient. He texted her asking to take down the video and delete every video she has of him. First, she feigned ignorance. Then she said that she meant no harm and that it was all for online engagement, since, I quote, "TikToks with hot guys go viral very fast," and that she'd gained a lot of followers after posting that. This was all so weird, but my husband and I got our families and friends to report the video, and thankfully, it's being taken down now. This pissed off June, and she sent me a long text saying how I was jealous of her online success and that I couldn't stand seeing her succeed, blah blah blah. I replied saying, "You're delusional and unhinged. You're not successful, and you'll never be. Stay away from us, you creepy weirdo." Now she's all weepy and depressed, and has been telling our common friends how mean I was to her. She's also been posting about mental health on her socials and about how mean some women are with their words. Am I the jerk? Now for the one-day update. My husband's practice reached out to Raya's parents and informed them about the situation via an email, as they wanted everything documented. The parents have responded. They are shocked and very, very apologetic. They have agreed to chaperone Raya on her appointments instead of June. They wanted to meet my husband personally to apologize, but he informed them that that won't be necessary. June's TikTok video is still in the process of being taken down. No new updates on that. I guess she contested the reports or something. I'm not entirely sure. My husband and I have blocked her. My brother is keeping an eye on her account, just in case she posts something else about us. We'll see what to do if or when it happens. We're going to be consulting a lawyer if she bothers us again in the future. My husband is kind of shaken up, upset, and annoyed about this whole thing. He's taken some days off from work, and so have I. We'll plan a trip somewhere maybe, to take his mind off of these things. Right now, I need to be there for him. I won't be posting anything for now. We haven't contacted her boyfriend yet. My husband is not in the right headspace right now, and I feel it'll be better if we focus on ourselves for the time being. We don't want the added headache of how the boyfriend will react, or if he's in on this or whatever. We'll inform him after some time. I know this is selfish, but I think it's for the best. Thank you all for the responses. Now for the 28-day update. I genuinely hoped I wouldn't be updating this story again, but life had other plans. We thought the drama was done, but nope. We filled June's boyfriend in on everything, and he was shocked, hurt, and confused. Turns out, June managed his social media, and he had no clue what she was posting. He thanked us, and we thought that was it. But then he asked to meet up, saying he needed to discuss something. To be honest, we were extremely hesitant to meet with him. We were so done with the drama and didn't want to get sucked back in. But he seemed genuinely concerned and willing to listen, so we agreed. At the meeting, he revealed he'd confronted June. She broke down, professed her love, and claimed her obsession with my husband was for social media clout. Apparently, his total package made for great content. When he asked to see her phone, she refused. So, he checked her laptop and found hundreds of sneaky photos and videos of my husband. And, for laughs, she had pics of me looking my absolute worst. Mouth open while eating, weird faces, the works. I think I'm pretty good looking, but these photos were the opposite. It's like she wanted to prove a point about my husband's ugly wife. June's boyfriend dumped her. But honestly, we're even more freaked out now. The scale of her obsession is terrifying. Hundreds of photos and videos? That's not just a crush, that's fixation. The thought of her escalating to something more is keeping us up at night. As a small consolation, June's boyfriend made her delete the videos from her social media and laptop. But God knows how many more copies she has. Despite June not reaching out after all this went down, we're still on high alert. Her radio silence is kinda unnerving, and we're bracing ourselves for whatever might come next. Hopefully, it is in fact just for social media clout, not some weird baby reindeer type obsession with my husband. It's kinda unsettling how she was friends with me for over 2 years. We hung out often, we've gone on weekend trips with her and her boyfriend, we have so many mutual friends, and yet no one knew she's doing this behind our backs. Either I'm bad at reading people, or she's very good at being sneaky and deceptive. I'm also mentally kicking myself for not realizing that someone was taking pictures of me. I feel my husband and I both need to be less dumb and more aware of our surroundings. On a brighter note, Raya's parents are super thankful to my husband for still treating Raya after everything. That's it for now. Hopefully, this is really the end. Now for the 2-month update. I've been sharing some updates on a pretty unsettling situation we've been dealing with. For those who haven't seen my previous posts, the short version is that my husband and I had a friend, June, who started acting super obsessively toward my husband. She secretly recorded him, posted weird videos of him online, and we eventually had to cut ties with her. So, after not hearing from June for 3 weeks, things took a really creepy turn on Friday. We hadn't heard a word from her, so we both got a little more relaxed about the whole situation. We went back to work, and everything seemed fine, but turns out we were wrong. My husband went to the store after work to grab some groceries. He had no idea June was following him, but when he got to the parking lot, there she was. As soon as he saw her, he tried to get to his car as quickly as possible, but she was already closer and blocked the way to the door. He tried to walk away, but she stepped in front of him, begging him to talk to her. She kept saying it was just a harmless crush and that she'd leave us alone if he'd just listen. She even said, "Please, talk to me." He didn't respond and kept trying to walk away, but she wouldn't let him. She begged again and reached into her coat pocket. My husband heard a metallic sound and instantly thought she might be pulling out a weapon. In a split second, he grabbed her hand to stop her and pushed her away with force. She lost her balance and fell down, but he didn't stick around. He quickly jumped in his car and sped off as fast as he could. Thankfully, she didn't follow him. After getting away, my husband immediately contacted the police. They managed to get security footage from the parking lot, and it shows 2 people, a man and a woman, running towards the car. After a short while, the man pushes the woman down and quickly gets in the car, speeding off. The footage wasn't super clear, but it shows the general sequence of events. Of course, it's still not totally clear what she was planning or what she had on her, but the situation was extremely tense. We've been trying to get a restraining order against her, and hopefully, this time, we'll get it, but we're not entirely sure how things will unfold now. We're also moving to my parents' home country for a while, just to feel safer and take a step back from everything. It's going to be tough rebuilding our lives from scratch, but I guess that's what's in our destiny. So yeah, that's where we're at. This whole situation is terrifying, and we're just trying to keep our heads straight and stay safe. I'll keep you all posted if anything else happens, but for now, we're just trying to lay low and handle this as best as we can. Am I the idiot for telling my wife her drama isn't welcome in my life anymore? My wife, Anne, and I have been married for 13 years. I am 43, and she is 46. We do not have children. When we first began dating, nobody could make me happy like Anne. She always seemed to know exactly the right thing to say to me when I was down. But over the past decade or so, she has really started to show her true colors, and a lot of what her ex-husband said to me about her has begun to make more sense. For example, I have a very high-stress job. People bring me problems, and I fix those problems. But when I get home, 9 times out of 10, Anne just has more problems to throw onto my plate. She doesn't work, so she's free to do anything she wants to solve said problems during the day, but lately, she has even begun making lists of things that she wants me to do after I work all day. But my biggest issue with Anne is that I can't ever really open up to her about anything. Whenever I talk about something bad that happened to me, she'll either try to one-up me or agree with the person who wronged me. Last Friday, I had a horrible day. There was an enormous problem at work that basically all fell on my shoulders to solve. When I was crossing the street after work, I had a green signal, and a bicycle blew through a red and side-clipped me. The cyclist yelled expletives at me and then rode away. I thought about calling the police because it was technically a hit and run, but there was probably nothing they could do. When I got home, desperate, I talked to Anne about what happened. She listened and then immediately took the cyclist's side. I reiterated that the cyclist ran through a red light, to which she responded that cyclists aren't obligated to stop. When I told her she was wrong and tried to put the issue to rest, she began frantically Googling laws. She found that in our state, they can treat lights like a stop sign. She began triumphantly reading the law to me loudly, word for word, getting louder when I kept trying to tell her that I wasn't interested. At the end of her spiel, she gave me this incredibly arrogant look as if she was right. I just stared at her for a second and said that my life would be better without her. She got incredibly upset, shrieked at me until her voice was hoarse, and then packed a bag and left to stay with her parents. She has texted me all weekend demanding an apology, but I haven't responded. Did I do something unforgivable here? Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Wait, if the cyclist is supposed to treat it like a stop sign, then shouldn't it stop and yield to oncoming traffic? You, who has a green light? So she's wrong and still triumphantly claiming victory? Personally, I think you could have elaborated a little on how she sucks the life out of you, but that's me being petty. I hope the best for you." Another commenter added, "Came here to say this. Like, she's not even right. Why is she on a high horse?" Someone else mentioned, "And even if she was right, where is your sympathy and compassion for your life partner? Like, dang, she seems to get off treating you like shoot. That is not love. You will find it one day after you leave this horrible person." Another comment stated, "She is the opposite of everything a good and understanding partner should be." She began triumphantly reading the law to me loudly, word for word, getting louder when I kept trying to tell her that I wasn't interested. She is more interested in proving him wrong and taking the cyclist's side than just being there for OP. One more commenter said, "Sounds like problem solved, actually. You said what needed saying, and she left. Done and done. Do you need help on first steps for contacting a lawyer or something? Because otherwise, it sounds like you got her out of your house with minimal effort." Finally, another commenter noted, "Sounds like this was just a tiny straw that finally broke the camel's back. OP should stop worrying about this situation with the cyclist and look back at all the times he has felt not only unsupported, but have had shoot that she dumped in his lap that she could have dealt with herself while he was working. Think about the totality of the situation, OP, and then contact a lawyer, not the idiot." Now for the 12-day update. 2 weeks ago, I had an argument with my wife, Anne. This argument stemmed from Anne's incessant need to contradict me and everything I say. Anne left in a fit of rage to stay with her parents and then kept spamming me with texts demanding an apology. A few days after Anne left, I felt something I hadn't in a long time at home. Peace. I didn't have someone nagging me about literally everything I did. I didn't have to eat my meals in the correct order, something about pH balance that she probably saw from some brain rot creator on TikTok. I didn't have to wash my feet after getting home. I could actually enjoy myself, which is impossible when Anne is around, because I found many years ago that she tends to get the most aggressive when I seem like I'm either in a very good or very bad mood. I then did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to her ex. He was more than eager to talk about Anne and her shenanigans, so we met up for drinks. He and I both had near-identical experiences with her. Anne is, through and through, a pretty horrible person, especially to her romantic partners. He cited irreconcilable differences for divorcing her, where it was no specific event, but just a long list of terrible interactions and coming to the realization that he detested her as a person. During this time, Anne went silent on me. I used this lull in our relationship to visit a lawyer who told me that due to the nature of laws in our state and the fact that Anne is able-bodied and educated, the chances of me ever having to pay alimony are basically zero. I called Anne at that point. She, for some reason, still expected an apology. I told her that I wanted a divorce. She threatened to take everything from me. I said she could try, but any further contact should be done through my lawyer. I'm fully happy to split our assets fairly. I'm fairly sure that Anne will agree to any deal that gives her more than half. It's just the way she is, and if it's a 55-45 split, I don't care. All I'll have to do is act like she got the better of me, and since she's an idiot, she'll happily agree. Thanks to everyone who responded in the last post with advice. Tons of you suggested divorce, which I think was what actually got me to consider it seriously. Now for some comments. One commenter advised, "My advice is to not spend attorney fees fighting over furniture. This is an easy one to let them win on because the price of attorney fees piling up over furniture doesn't make sense when you can easily buy top-of-the-line replacement furniture for what you're wasting on fees." Another commenter suggested, "Yes, but pretend you are really in love with certain pieces of furniture. Have your lawyer say, under no circumstances is Anne to get the kitchen table. She'll feel like she's won when you cave on it." Someone else warned, "Update me. Anne is about to release the hounds. Keep your head on a swivel and watch your back, OP. Anne will try to shame you in front of friends and family first by spreading lies." Finally, another commenter added, "That's page 2 of the narcissist playbook. What she's already put OP through is page 1." And another commenter agreed, "Exactly. OP needs to understand what's happening next so that he's not surprised and can get ahead of it."